Welcome in to another episode of Dolphins HQ, and my guest today is none other than head coach of your Miami Dolphins, Jeff Hafley. Coach, welcome in, man.
Thanks, man. It's good to be on. It's good to be here.
I'm happy to have you. And we met you at Thursday at your introduction press conference, and I'm sure this week has been a total whirlwind for you here, and sort of a two-parter to kind of keep going in that direction with whirlwinds. But what has this first week been like? And then as you get ready for the Combine, the kind of the next big tentpole event, what does it look like from now until the Combine?
Yeah, well, I feel like I just got here. I mean, what's today, Monday? I mean, this was my interview day. So a week ago at this time, I'm still in the hotel room getting ready to interview, and then suddenly I get the job and I'm at the national championship game. Flew home, then I flew back for the presser, and really since then it's been about hiring the staff, and that's really priority number one, because you got to surround yourself with good people, and building a staff starting with the coordinators and then to the assistants to the quality control coaches. That's been the biggest focus. The next step will be for me to contact all of the players on the roster. So those are really like 1A and 1B, and that's really what we're working on right now. And then certainly when that is done, then I'll get ready for the Combine, start watching some guys in the draft. We got to watch free agents, watching our roster. There's a lot to do. It's not all going to happen in one day, and that's what I learned in my first stint as a head coach. You got to just continually work every single day, do the best you can, get some rest, and wake up and do it again.
Do you draw back at all on your time at Boston College as a head coach in the college level where you're doing recruiting? Is that kind of similar to contacting the Dolphins players and kind of getting yourself familiar with what you got here?
I think the start of hiring a staff certainly is.
Mm-hmm.
And, I look back to the mistakes that I made, and, this has helped me. I feel more comfortable this go around having done it before. And then, evaluating recruits and evaluating free agents, there's some similarities. But in the last 2 years being back in the NFL, I had a big role in evaluating the defense, looking at the roster, looking at free agents, watching every player on the defensive side of the ball for the draft. And now it's just going to be doing so on offense and special teams as well. I think the last 2 years, basically being the head coach of the defense with Matt really running the offense has also given me a good lesson on what it's going to be like.
So going back a little bit further to your origins back in your college playing days and becoming a coach, I saw the injuries in college kind of put you into more of a coach's position back in those days where you would spend time in the booth with the coaches and doing some film work. How did that experience help prepare you for a life in coaching?
Yeah, that's something that we really haven't talked about. When I was in college, I had to have surgery twice on both legs. So while I was recovering and trying to come back to play, I hadn't even thought about that in a while. The coaches, they brought me to the away games, and in the home games, I was up in the booth, and I was almost like a student coach at the time. I was always in the office, and I was always around them. I probably was in the office more than I was actually in school and going to classes because I wanted to watch film. And I think they were like, this guy probably watches more tape than we do. So they started to have me help them coach. And then eventually I came back and played. But that was one of the moments where I knew it's what I wanted to do. And it helped me figure it out pretty quick.
You majored in football, sounds like.
I did. I was a history major, but I probably remember more football and more plays that have happened in my career than I do of what I learned in history.
Sure.
My history is what happened in every game that we've played and coached in, and try not to make the same mistakes, but don't ask me any history questions, please.
Totally fine. When I was in college, I was more into watching Dolphins games on VHS tape than I was into
VHS tapes. That dates you. Most of these people have no clue what a VHS tape is.
But in reading material for this interview, Coach, the impression I got was that the reason you wanted to come back to the NFL was to put the whistle around your neck, get your feet back on the grass, and just coach football. You love coaching. It's your happy place, right? Why do you think that is? Like, why is that your happy place, for lack of a better term?
I love to teach. I love the competitiveness of it. I love being around the guys. I love game planning. I love watching tape. But mostly I like to get out on the field and teach fundamentals and technique. I like to be hands-on. And I like to see, when you work really hard on doing everything you can to get a player better, and then you see him have success, or you see the drill work translate to the field, that's a really cool feeling. And part of that is helping change people's lives and taking them from where they are to where they want to be and helping them accomplish their goals. That's always been a big part of why I do what I do. And then there's nothing like being in a locker room after a win when you get a bunch of grown men hugging and some in tears and just embracing, and, even in some of the defeats. Just those moments, the highs and the lows, I don't know if there's another profession like it. And towards the end, when I was in college, it wasn't the case. It was more, trying to keep the players, talking to agents, trying to recruit other college players, doing things that really weren't coaching. And that's why I kind of made the jump back.
Yeah, makes perfect sense. And watching some of the interviews you've done in the past, I've seen you talk about the shifting landscape. I saw an interview we talked about Boston College of going from single high to split field presentations and coverage principles and zone landmarks and vision on the quarterback, all that stuff. How do you
Football
balance?
guy. He's a football guy right here.
I try to be. I mean,
You can tell he watched tape. He's not. For all those listening, he wasn't lying. He actually knows what he's talking about.
I do enjoy watching tape. It's one of my favorite things to do. But how do you
Why
balance?
didn't you coach then? I'm changing the interview now.
yeah.
It's my turn. Then how come you didn't get into coaching?
I went to Washington State. I love watching Mike Leach, and I guess I never made that jump. I don't know.
It sounds like you missed your calling.
I think I might have.
We might have to interview this
I might have
guy
been more
when
of a
I'm done
Sully
with
guy,
it.
more
We
of a
might-
personnel. I like doing the scouting side.
I
of
can put
things.
in a good word for
Yeah.
you.
Can you?
He's
I
looking for
appreciate
staff
that.
right now, so maybe you should think about interviewing.
Well, I mean, I'm blushing on my own show right here, so I really appreciate
All
that.
right,
Coach,
I'll let
but-
you be the interviewer
You're
again.
good, man. The question is, how do you balance the complexities of not just teaching it, but maybe putting yourself in the perspective of the player, where you're thinking like, how can I make this complex for the opponent, but as simple for them to understand as possible?
Yeah. One, I think a lot of coaches get overcomplicated in scheme. This is still a player's game, and the players they need to be able to execute what you call. I mean, I could draw up 3 blitzes that, I think will beat protection or, win the down, but if the players can't understand it and learn it and it's not going to work, it doesn't matter how smart I think I am, because it's not going to work, right? So the way I always teach is part to whole. I'm big on, teaching a technique within a call and making sure everybody understands all of those techniques. And then once those techniques are taught, then I teach the whole and I drop those pieces in so I can become more complex with me doing the thinking. And sometimes those calls might be a little wordier, so I'll do the thinking, where I want them to just be able to play fast and not think. Because when you think, you stink. I mean, that's the oldest coaching cliche that there is. I just think a lot of coaches think they're smarter than they are, and that's no disrespect, because at times I do as well. But we have to understand that the players have to know and really understand so they can play fast. So it's part to whole teaching for me, and then it's constant. I want feedback from the players all the time. What do you think? Is this too much? Can you do it? Do you like it? Is it make sense? And then what's big for me is when I teach and install, I always want everybody to understand the why of everything. Because I think if you understand the why, and I don't just throw up a pressure and say this, and this, but when you teach the why, I think people can learn better. And going back to our conversation, I wanted to be a teacher. Like, I wanted to be a history teacher, even though I really don't know much about history. I wanted to be a history teacher because I've always enjoyed teaching, and I always felt one of my strengths was taking something complicated and making it easier for people. So those are really big in how I coach defense.
Does that apply to you in all walks of life? Like, can you take that to your kids and teach them how to change a brake pad or something? Something in life.
I couldn't do anything with a brake pad. Me, my wife would have a better shot
Okay.
of that than I am. One, I don't think my kids listen to me when I coach them on anything. But yeah, I think I can explain things well. Some things better than others, but maybe they'll start listening to me a little bit. But they're tough on me right now. So, especially the 7-year-old.
Yeah.
She's the one, I'm telling you, where if we don't have a good game, she lets me know it pretty quickly.
Yeah. Oh man, the kids will be brutally honest and tell you whatever comes to mind. They're going to tell you.
Which is a good thing.
It
That's how
is.
everybody should be.
Yeah, exactly. The truth tellers, exactly. So we're going to get more into the weeds here for you real quick. So I watched every third and long play you guys had last year with the Packers. And
We were good on third and long.
very good on third and long.
Third and medium, not so good.
It was so fun to watch though, man, because I would see you would overload the pressure look, and then you would bring the blitz from the backside and the secondary. I'm like, I don't know, you said it yourself, I kind of know a little bit of ball, but I don't know what I'm watching when I'm watching your defense, because it's pretty hard to decipher. And getting ready for this interview, I'm kind of looking around some of the other head coaches in the league. Like Sean McVay, for instance, has a core tenet that he talks about: simple for us, brutal for them, easy reads, hard choices for opponents. And again, watching that, I just kind of got lost in the sauce on that. How do you go about implementing that philosophy of, complex for us, but easily digestible for players?
Yeah, that's kind of what I was just talking about. I want it to look very, very confusing to the offense and everything that we do. Mm-hmm. And it all goes back to the way you teach and the way you install. It is simple for us, complex for them. And that's how we want it to be. So everything that we do each game, we kind of present a different structure, and I want to try to confuse them off of what we've showed in the past. And they think they're going to get one thing, and then they get the other thing. And that has a lot to do with studying ourselves, and the players taking pride. And I always talk to them about being the best disguised team in the NFL. So we take a lot of pride and time in that and pay attention to the details of that. And that goes back to the words and what we call things. So within a course of a game, imagine learning a glossary of techniques. I can easily throw out a different word and the players will be like, yeah, no problem, because that's how we teach. And we can change up our disguise and the pressure instantly throughout the course of a game. And that's really how we've developed our system to do so. So that is huge for us, like you're saying, with an offense, shifting and motioning and trying to confuse you, but it's still they're just running outside zone, which is not very complicated. So it's more of an illusion of being complex than it really is being complex. Yeah. And you need guys to take pride in that.
Makes perfect sense. You also discussed at your introduction press conference 4 core principles: trust, belief, toughness, extreme accountability. Could you take us through each of those, what that looks like, and how you land on that exact collection of pillars, if you will?
Yeah, I mean, those are just, I think, the important things in building relationships. And I think that's the number one thing that we're going to have to do here. And it starts with trust, whether it's with me and you, whether it's with anybody here. And I said this in my press conference, and I can elaborate a little bit more. Everybody always hears, oh, he's so slow to trust, or he doesn't trust anyone, or, you know, the way that he went through life, he has a hard time trusting people, a hard time trusting males, a hard time trusting anybody. I mean, I respect that, right? And I understand that. So I'm not going to sit here and say right now, you're just going to trust me. Like, why would you? You don't know me. So you probably shouldn't trust me. So be careful. So what I want to do with everybody that I meet is I want to earn it. And how do I do that? There's a lot of ways. What I tell you I'm going to do, I'm going to follow through with, right? The way that I treat you and the way that I show up and be consistent every single day, the way I say I'm going to. Because to me, and I'll tell the players, I see better than I hear, right? It's actions speak louder than words. It's however you want to throw out these cliches. But I think that's really important, and I think over time that builds trust. Now, at the same time, I'm going to make it a two-way street. I mean, I'm not going to trust you right now.
Sure.
I'm kind of joking.
And you shouldn't, though.
Part of me does trust you for some weird reason, but not truthfully yet. But I want the players to understand that it is a two-way street, and that what they say they need to follow through with, and what they tell me they need to follow through with. And over time, I think then you build it from the ground up, and I think that's the start of a relationship. I talked about belief because even coming back to the NFL, I think there's still a lack of confidence in a lot of players and just a lot of people in general. And whether it's a young kid or whether it's an adult, I mean, it's a hard world. And in order to succeed in anything, you have to believe in yourself. And I think I can help that. And I think my job is to show them that I believe in them, to get them to believe in themselves. And I think once they do that, then they'll start believing in each other. And then that becomes a very, very powerful thing. And I like to think back to the time I got to Green Bay, and I believe we had a defense that started to believe in themselves. And I had players even towards the end tell me, thank you for believing in me. And I think that's very, very powerful. Once that hits, and you can kind of see I'm going in steps on building a relationship or building a team, I think you have to be a connected team. I think I have to connect with the players, and I have to connect with all different types of players, right? And that takes time, and that takes a lot of effort and a lot of energy. But I don't think you can lead anybody unless you truly get to know them and are connected with them. Because the way I want to coach, and I want to coach them really hard, and I want to hold them to an extreme level of accountability, all of those things I just talked about have to be your foundation. Because then the next step is an extreme level of accountability to themselves, to their teammates. That's like the glue that holds everything together that I just talked about. And that is going to be my job early on, to hold these guys accountable. And hopefully after all this happens, they start holding each other accountable. But that has to start with the individual, which helps with me, and then it goes to the rest of the team. And those have always been my steps to try to develop culture, which everybody throws around. Sure. They say, well, what's your culture? Here, I'm just explaining to you on how we're going to build a culture. And then if we do all those things, you'll see what it looks like, where I won't have to talk and tell you what it looks like, right? Because again, I see better than I hear. And then I talked about a toughness, and that's not a toughness where I'm just going to shove you or hit you. It's a physical and mental toughness that you have to live every single day. And that's very, very hard. That's waking up on time. It's showing up on time. It's doing the extra work. It's doing what you're supposed to do when you're supposed to do it the best that you can and doing it over and over and over. And that takes a mental toughness. And then our game is a physical game. And there has to be a physical toughness in the way we want to play at all levels, whether you're a wideout or a corner or a long snapper or a kicker. It doesn't matter. There has to be a toughness on the field of how hard we play. And again, it's not one that it's talked about. It's turn on the tape and watch us run to the ball, or watch us block down the field, or watch the wide receiver block for his buddy, which all goes back to how much do you care about each other, right? Because I firmly believe on defense, I always talk about when you hit the pause button, you can find out how much a guy loves his teammate by how close he is to the football,
Sure.
right? And I'm going to show him that. So those are the things that are important to me. And I know that's a little long-winded, but I believe that's what it's going to take as we get started.
You're on the right show for long-winded right here. It kind of sounds like a self-sustained like ecosystem. Like it kind of you set it in motion and then it takes care of itself. And you obviously you have to manage that going forward. But it kind of sounds like that's the idea of getting players and everyone to kind of buy into the system so that they're the ones managing it overall.
Yeah, I mean, once the players are the leaders, then it becomes real. Mm-hmm. When I can turn to a guy and say, handle that for me, you're close. When a player handles it because he sees it, mm-hmm. then you got him. Because the standard you walk by is the standard you set, right? So if people are just walking by saying that's okay, that's not good enough.
Sure. You talked about installing that trust in Green Bay, and that first year you had four rookies take over 400 snaps that season, and this year you talked about this in your press conference. You get Micah Parsons 2 weeks before the opening game, and you guys actually blitzed more with Micah Parsons. So your ability to adapt was always, I thought, really impressive to watch on tape. But when you think about whether it's adapting your scheme to fit a new player, or going to a different level of football to adapt, or just in a game if an opponent comes out with something that you weren't expecting and you have to adapt, just talk to me about the importance of adaptability as a coach and as a program.
Yeah, I just think in general, I've never been one to say, this is my playbook, this is my system, we're going to run this. When I got to Green Bay, they were a 3-4 team. We switched it to 4-3. They were, well, how are you going to do that? Why are you going to do it? Well, I looked at the personnel. It's what I felt we could do to have the most success, and we were very successful, right? Then we're really playing 3-4 spacing, 4-3 spacing, which a football guy like him understands what I'm talking about.
Absolutely.
Some people right here watching this might say, who knows? Well, you can call him and ask him. He'll explain. So I was really going into more of a mindset coming into this season that in base defense, we had Kenny Clark, we had some bigger guys. We were going to be different than we were. And then a week before our first game, we lose Kenny and add Micah, which is great. You get one of the best football players in the world, but you lose Kenny, who is also a really good player too, and a phenomenal human being. So then a week I had to figure out how to use Micah, which totally was going to be different than how I was planned all offseason and all training camp. So adaptability, the ability to be innovative and change, right? Again, if you teach with words and people understand part to whole, you can switch. So then we had a ton of success early on with Micah, and then we lost him. We lost Devontae Wyatt. We lost Van Ness, so we started losing pieces. So then we had to adapt and go back and do different things. It's just, I believe it's what you have to do, and I believe that's good coaching. It's like, what are we going to look like on offense? I have a pretty good idea of what, hiring Bobby, what we're going to look like on offense. Let's figure out who our players are as we get going, and we have to put them in the best position to succeed.
You mentioned Bobby. That was my next question right there. Bobby Slowick and Chris Tabor are official hires here for the Miami Dolphins. What can you tell us about both of those guys off the top here?
Phenomenal people. And I think you have to, when you look at hiring a staff, which we're doing now, the number one is you win with people. And we're going to go through adversity together. So you have to have people that you trust that when things get hard aren't going to change who they are, and they're going to rise up. And those are two people that I've been around. I was with Tabor in Cleveland, and I was with Bobby in San Francisco. Those are two great people that are built the right way. And then they're really good football coaches. Bobby was actually on the defensive side of the ball with me when I was in San Francisco. So we were together all the time. Like, he was my right-hand man on defense. Now, Bobby's brilliant, and Kyle Shanahan's brilliant. And what Kyle usually does is he takes the guys he thinks are the smartest guys on the staff, and he moves them over to offense. So it doesn't surprise me that he took Bobby to be an offensive coach. So now Bobby's got the defensive background. Now he gets the Kyle Shanahan background, so he's got really good pedigree. And then he gets to go call it in Houston, where he coached the Rookie of the Year in year one. Went to 2 playoffs runs, and it didn't work out that second year for him. And then I continued to stay in touch. He came here. And then he's with Mike, who has a ton of respect for him as well, and I do with Mike as a play caller and a coach in general. I think he's awesome. And I got a chance to hire him. And to me, that became a no-brainer. And with Tabor, the same thing. I mean, Tabor, a guy I was with in Cleveland, he's one of the most respected special teams coaches in all of the National Football League. And what that allows me to do is not have to worry as much about that unit because I have full trust in him, where I can focus on being the head coach and getting the defense ready when the season comes.
So this is a simple one, and we'll close with the fun ones. So when a media pundit looks at your team or an opposing team comes down here, watches you on tape, whatever it might be, and they say, man, Jeff Hafley's Dolphins are blank. What do you want that blank to be? How do you want people to perceive your football team?
Physical. I mean, one word, to me, it's you'd like to say that's the most physical team, the toughest team that we're going to play all year. I mean, and those are the controllables, right? The scheme, the roster. There's no reason that we shouldn't be the most physical team when you turn on the tape.
What does that look like in terms of developing that? Is it personnel? Is it coaching? A combination of both of those?
It's a combination of everything we just talked about. From how I described to you, we were going to reach our culture. Mm-hmm. That's all that is, and that's everything we do every single day. So when you turn on the tape, it's a bunch of guys playing as hard as they can for each other, as physical as they can for each other, and that's what we're looking for. And like I said, that's going to start April 6th.
Reminds me of a quote that Kyle Van Noy once told me. You set the edge on, I think it was Saturday. Set the edge on Saturday on defense, right? Before the game happens. So we talked about some of the football stuff there, some fun ones here for you, some personal stuff here. Rapid fire, some of your favorite things in life.
I'm not good at rapid fire, so I'm just warning you. I don't mind interviews. I stink at rapid fire.
Well, hey.
So if I give you a funny look, just ask me the next question.
We'll see if it makes the cut or not. So it's just about your favorite things in life. Do you have a favorite movie?
Yeah, any of the Rocky series.
Perfect.
Yeah, probably the original, because it was original and really cool. But I'm a big Stallone fan. I like Bruce Springsteen and Sylvester Stallone. Shocker. Those two usually tie together, so I'll go with Rocky.
They must subscribe to your 4 principles, I think. Those are guys that...
Those are tough guys right there. And the boss is the boss.
There you go. How about your meal? Favorite food?
Chicken parm.
That's mine, too.
Yeah. See, I knew I liked you.
A couple of football guys here. What about your favorite downtime activity or hobby?
Just hanging out with my family.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't have many hobbies. Just go home and hang out with them.
Yeah, it's time consuming with 3 little ones myself. As a father of 3 little ones, I always love hearing this perspective from parents. What do you think has been the most fun age yet for your little ones?
Ooh. I would say I think they're at a fun age now. My youngest is 7, Leah's 7, and Hope's 10. I think they're both very different. So here's what I've seen with kids. Same parents, totally different kids.
Yeah.
So Hope at 7 is way different than Leah at 7, right? So I don't know if I can group them into ages, but they're at a fun point right now. So I would say any age.
The last one here, I'm a big music guy. Do you have a favorite song, musical genre, band? What?
Springsteen.
Springsteen?
I'm from New Jersey.
All right, perfect.
I mean, gosh, I love Springsteen. So yeah.
Favorite song by him?
Oh gosh.
Put you on the spot here.
I like so many of his songs. I'll say Thunder Road.
Great way to close it right there. Dolphins head coach, Jeff Hafley. Coach, we appreciate your time today, man. Thanks.
Thanks, man. This was a
everything you got.
pleasure.
Yeah, of
Thank
course.
you.